Point Park track travels to the Bronx, the NFL boils down to the final two, and a $1 million player makes history. It's time to come on down to Pioneer Sideline. Good evening and welcome to Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host, Bryn Reese, coming at you live for another exciting week of sports news. To start, women's hoops secured a non-conference win against the D2 independent Salem Tigers on Saturday in West Virginia. Now, for a Salem team entering the afternoon with a 1-18 record, it was an unexpectedly close game for the Pioneers. In the first quarter, we saw a lot of back and forth and the Tigers came out hungry. Salem wasn't necessarily seeing much success from the field, but they were getting more shots up, keeping them in the game through the end of regulation. Once again, we saw some turnover trouble on the court as the teams combined for 45 total turnovers. Point Park converted more off this pressure with 20 points off turnovers alone. Now entering the fourth and final quarter, the Pioneers had a 10-point lead. The Tigers, however, came out firing, attempting 23 shots in the period, making 9 of those. The Pioneers went 6 for 10 from the field and managed to hold on to their lead despite a Salem team clawing for its second win of the entire season. Point Park ended up on top 67-63. Emma Pavlik recorded 16 points to lead the Pioneers, and Ari Bleda followed with 15 points and 4 steals. Alexis Giles had struggled a bit from deep but kept her ground with 10 points. Giles wasn't the only one having trouble, however, given Point Park's 26% shooting success from 3. Luckily, this was smooth sailing compared to Salem's 16.7 three-point percentage. The ladies improved to a 5-12 record overall, and the team goes on to face Davis and Elkins at home tomorrow in a pivotal MEC matchup. The Pioneers begin a massive stretch of conference play tomorrow, playing the first of 9 straight MEC matchups. It's a crucial time for Point Park hoops, but what is track and field up to? Edmi Dallas is here with an update.
Thanks, Bryn. On Friday, January 24th, Point Park's track and field traveled to Bronx, New York to take part in the Dr. Sanders Scorcher Invitational for a 2-day event. During this invitational, 2 men and 1 woman ranked in the top 5 for Point Park's overall history record. On day 1, first-year distance runner Ike Vanderlei placed 28th in the men's 800-meter race with a time of 1 minute and 59 seconds, placing him 5th in school history. Michael Quigley placed 8th in the men's triple jump with 12.49 meters. Jana Schmid placed 24th in the women's 800 with a time of 2 minutes 22 seconds, which is the 5th fastest time in Point Park history. On day 2 of the invitational, both Yannick Windelband and Vanderlei ranked in the top 5 of Point Park history with their times in the men's mile. Windelband placed 19th with a time of 4 minutes 17 seconds, placing him 2nd in school history, with Vanderlei getting the 5th fastest time with 4 minutes and 28 seconds. Christian Reed, Kamar Sutherland, Joshua Maurer, and Toby Wright placed 6th in the 4x4 relay with a time of 3 minutes and 33 seconds. For the men's long jump, Akeem Mustafa placed 8th in the invite with 6.92 meters, while Maxwell Good placed 3rd in the open event with 6.77. Indoor track and field is set to participate in another 2-day event at the Youngstown State University Collegiate Mid-Major in Youngstown, Ohio on Friday and Saturday. Good luck, Pioneers! Now, back to Bryn with a men's basketball update. Bryn?
Thanks, Edmi. Now, men's basketball kept the afternoon going on Saturday with a non-conference win versus Salem as well. Coming off 3 straight losses, this was a crucial win for the Pioneers as they enter that long stretch of conference games. Now, this started out as your typical shutout game with the Pioneers taking a striking lead early in the first half. Both teams shot around 50% in the period, but Point Park just got more shots up and went 40% from 3. However, the Pioneers went scoreless in the final 2.5 minutes, allowing the Tigers to go on a 10-point run. The first half ended 41-38. Point Park answered immediately in the second half with 14 straight unanswered points, and the half was 3-point country for the Pioneers, shooting 53% from 3 and converting on 9 of 17 trays. This allowed Point Park to hold on to a 20-30-point lead as the team defeated the Tigers 86-64, returning home with high hopes for tomorrow. Now, point guard Caden Warner went off as usual, recording 29 points and going 10 for 19 from the field. And 5 more Pioneers scored 10-plus points, with both Aiden Miller and Nazareth Fisher recording double-doubles. The Pioneers shot an even 50% from the field to send the Tigers packing with a 5-13 record. Now, Point Park is maintaining that winning record, going 10-8 overall in the season. However, MEC play is looking bleak for the Pioneers as they enter tomorrow's game with a 4-7 conference record. The men also take on Davis and Elkins tomorrow at home, where the two teams are currently tied in the MEC standings. So we're looking at a big game tomorrow night. Now, not only is this a big game, but this is a big week for Point Park sports. As the mentioned, men's and women's hoops take on Davis and Elkins tomorrow at home. Then both teams travel back to West Virginia on Saturday to face West Virginia Wesleyan at 2 and 4 p.m. On Friday and Saturday, track and field continues its busy indoor season back in Ohio for the Youngstown State Mid-Major Invite. Get all the news and more on PointParkSports.com and come back here next week for your weekly Point Park Sports Update. When we come back, more on what's happening in the sports world. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now we have Ryan Jones with a Pittsburgh Sports Update. Ryan?
Thanks, Bryn. The Pittsburgh Pirates made a signing this morning, bringing back former All-Star Adam Frazier on a one-year, $1.525 million deal. The 33-year-old, who was drafted by the Pirates back in 2013, had a .202 batting average for the Kansas City Royals last season, hitting 4 home runs and 22 RBIs. During his time with the Pirates, Frazier batted a .283 with 39 home runs and 204 RBIs through 608 games. Frazier mainly plays at the second base position, but is also available to play in the outfield. Last May, it was announced that the 2026 NFL Draft will be taking place right here in Pittsburgh. This past week, the official dates were announced for the event. The draft will take place from April 23rd to the 25th, with representatives from all 32 teams and the top prospects expected to be in attendance. The 3-day event will include activities for the fans to participate in as a part of the NFL Draft experience. Exhibits, autograph signings, games, and musical performances will be included as a part of the experience. Allegheny County Executive Sarah Innamorato reacted by saying, quote, "With the new Pittsburgh International Airport, Allegheny County will be ready to welcome the NFL legends, prospects, and families and fans," end quote. The NFL Draft this year will be happening in Green Bay from April 24th to the 26th. The Pittsburgh Penguins have now lost 3 straight games as they continue their 7-game road trip out west, losing last night 2-1 to the San Jose Sharks. Michael Granlund got the Sharks on the board in the second period for the 1-0 lead. Sidney Crosby tied the game for the Penguins 24 seconds into the third period, but Sharks rookie Macklin Celebrini scored the game-winning goal just a few minutes later. Alex Nedeljkovic made 26 saves on 28 shots for the Penguins, while Yaroslav Askarov made 29 saves for the Sharks. The Penguins will conclude their road trip on Wednesday night as they travel to Utah for the first time ever to face off against the Utah Hockey Club at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Now, I'll be passing things over to Gabe Ezerol for our weekly NFL recap. Gabe?
Thanks, Ryan. The biggest stage in American sports has been set. The reigning champions with a chance at a historic three-peat, the challenger with a shot at revenge. Let's see how we arrived at a rematch for the 59th edition of the NFL's final production. Jaden Daniels, a shot at being the first rookie quarterback to start the most prestigious game. Washington wishing to best Philly in their third meeting this season. They came out sharp, a calculated 17-play drive ending in a short field goal after converting a pair of fourth downs. But the O barely had time to take off their helmets before they were watching Saquon. And before you can say gone, he's cutting it to the left sideline, he's bouncing it back to the middle, and he's out of there for a first play TD, going 60 yards. Commanders look to respond, but insert Zach Bond puts his helmet right on the football and knocks it loose. It's recovered by Philadelphia. 3 passes take the Eagles in close, where Barkley gets score number 2 on carry number 2. Then, punter Tress Way would serve up a dime on a silver platter, extending the next drive for the Commanders, which would eventually end in a field goal for Washington. Then, after a missed Jake Elliott field goal, Terry McLaurin puts the moves on after a short reception, taking it to the painted turf for 6. The Commanders are clawing back into this one. The Eagles face 4th down right before the 2-minute warning. Washington forces a deep shot down the left side to A.J. Brown. They got to have it, and they're going to get it. The rugby special finishes off the drive, but that wouldn't be it for the half for the offense of the Eagles. The Eagles recovered a fumble on a kick return for the second time this playoffs, and A.J. Brown capitalizes off of it. Coming out of the break, 27-15 game, Jalen Hurts picks up the first touchdown of the second half, to the left for a 9-yard run. His counterpart, though, Jaden Daniels, not to be outdone. He puts on a beautiful fake out running the speed option, slicing to the middle for the score. Washington continues to scrap for momentum, forcing another punt from the Eagles. But with a chance to draw within one score, Austin Eckler puts it on the ground at the 50, and Washington loses their 3rd fumble of the game. When the Eagles got within a football length of the end zone, the Commanders started griefing the game until the refs told them to stop. Rugby time, and Jalen Hurts completes his hat trick. The game slipping away, the team with the most 4th down conversions in a single season can't get this one. The pressure gets home to Daniels. With a short field position, Barkley also scores his 3rd rushing touchdown of the day. Really pouring the points on now, a jump ball for McLaurin ends up with Quinyon Mitchell. And Will Shipley makes sure Commanders fans felt the belt on the way home as well, adding another explosive run and punching in the Eagles' 7th rushing touchdown on the day. Behind 118 and 3 scores from Barkley on just 15 carries and Hurts' 260 yards and 4 touchdowns, the Eagles get a chance to run the ball all the way to a title in New Orleans. Can't deny that would be a great gift on Saquon's 28th birthday. On the other side, a matchup you can mark your calendar for at the end of every January at this point. The Bills pack the bags and head to Arrowhead, all of it on the line yet again. The Chiefs start out dropping 2 easy picks on the first 2 passes of the game from Josh Allen, but still forced a 3-and-out en route to an opening 90-yard touchdown drive, the points courtesy of Kareem Hunt. But after a field goal from Tyler Bass, Mahomes would lose the rock while the Chiefs were just outside of the red zone. The Bills would pay the turnover off, staying on the field after converting a 3rd and long and finishing it with James Cook, extending for the 6 points from 6 yards out. Xavier Worthy went to work in response, logging 3 catches and the touchdown on the following drive. The Chiefs would get the ball back again. 3.5 minutes in the half, too much for these offenses. Xavier Worthy goes airborne to snatch the ball away from a defender on 3rd down. Then Mahomes rolls right to break the plane himself. Josh Allen comes back with a beautiful throw, and the great catch by Mac Hollins is undeniable. DPI penalty can't deter him from tracking this one. After the 2-point rush, no good, 21-16 at half. Coming out of the rest period, James Cook would take the lead with a superhuman second effort on 4th and goal. But again, Buffalo chases points after and fail. Bills force a 3-and-out. Josh Allen swan dives and recovers his own fumble to convert a 4th and inches once, but Buffalo attempts to push the agenda on 4th and 1 again. The controversial ruling is going to give the ball back to Kansas City. Mahomes again runs right with the defense's head turn for his 2nd rushing score, while Josh Allen answers on 4th and goal by throwing to the right, hanging around the pocket until he finds Curtis Samuel for a touchdown. The Chiefs settle for a Butker chip shot with 3.5 to go. It's 32-29, and the Bills have their shot to get it done. But we come out of the 2-minute warning with a 4th and 5 at midfield, and a clever spag weak side blitz leaves Josh Allen with only a deep prayer, which would not be answered, bouncing off Dalton Kincaid's mitts to the turf harmlessly. On 3rd and 9, the Chiefs air it out, and Samaje Perine on the drag route will seal the game and Buffalo's season with a final 1st down. A great showing by Xavier Worthy, 5 catches for 86 and a score against a team that traded down to KC rather than selecting him. In 2 weeks' time, Andy Reid will pass Bill Belichick for the most playoff games head coached in the Chiefs' attempt to defend the title for another season. The Chiefs opened as 1.5 point favorites, a line bettors can expect to shift to Philadelphia as we near February 9th. Make sure you catch the last NFL action of the season and Kendrick Lamar at halftime. That's all I have this week. Back to you at the desk, Bryn.
Thanks, guys. Next, we have exclusive national news. All this and more live after the break.
Take them, cue them, open their mics.
Today marked the 1-year anniversary of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette strike.
Point Park University just hosted a campus-wide meeting.
Plans for the rapid transit bus line are not set to conclude until 2025.
Welcome back. Now we have Ronan Lancaster reporting on the California kid who received a rare offer. Ronan?
Thanks, Bryn. So the young collector who's just 11 years old that pulled the one-of-one Paul Skeens rookie debut patch autograph card declined the Pittsburgh Pirates offer for the card and has decided to take a different route with it. The Pirates offer for the card included the following things: 2 season tickets behind home plate at PNC Park for the next 30 years, a softball game at PNC Park for 30 people, 2 autographed Skeens jerseys, a meet and greet with Paul Skeens, and a one-of-a-kind spring training experience at Pirate City in Bradenton, Florida. The 11-year-old collector is from California, so you can see why he would turn down this amazing offer. But he is doing it for a good cause. He chose to instead donate the earnings from the auction to fire relief in Los Angeles. A kind and interesting move by the young collector. Next, McKenna Smith reports on a record-breaking deal. McKenna?
Thanks, Ronan. For the first time in women's soccer history, the sport has its first $1 million player. Chelsea FC has signed U.S. women's national team defender Naomi Girma from San Diego Wave FC for a record $1.1 million transfer. Unveiled to fans at Stamford Bridge before Chelsea's recent 1-0 victory over Arsenal, Girma has signed a 4-year-and-a-half contract with the club. Beyond the pitch, this landmark transfer underscores a significant milestone in women's football, reflecting the growing investment and recognition in the sport. Girma shared, quote, "There are so many things about Chelsea that drew me in. The culture, the winning mentality, the staff, and the players. It's a top environment to learn and grow," end quote. Chelsea FC women, a dominant force in FA Women's Super Cup League, are currently the 5-time defending champions, holding the league title since the 2019-2020 season. Girma's rise has been extraordinary. She debuted from the U.S. national team in 2022 and has earned 44 caps since, including being part of the gold medal winning squad at the 2024 Paris Olympics. She was named U.S. Soccer Female Player of the Year in 2023. Paul Green, Chelsea's head of women's football, had to say, quote, "Naomi is a world-class defender who is entering the prime of her years of her career. Her composure on the ball, game intelligence, pace, and athleticism will bring top quality to an already talented squad," end quote. Before joining Chelsea, Girma captained Stanford University to a national championship in 2019 and was the #1 overall pick in the 2022 NWSL draft by San Diego Wave. She made an immediate impact, earning Rookie of the Year and Defender of the Year honors in her debut season. This groundbreaking move solidifies Girma's place as a trailblazer in women's soccer and sets a new benchmark for the sport's future. And that's all from me and the rest of us. Back to you at the desk, Bryn.
Thanks, everyone. When we come back, we discuss the Pittsburgh Penguins and their plans as the trade deadline approaches. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now it's safe to say that the Pittsburgh Penguins are having some troubles for the second straight season. With the trade deadline just around the corner, what moves should they make? I'm here with Ryan, Austin, and Nick to discuss this in our Case of the Week. So I really want to get your guys' thoughts on this, how you think the Penguins should move forward going up to the trade deadline.
We've been seeing a lot of things about us being sellers and how we should trade away the big three, trade away some of our key pieces. We're only 7 games out of the playoff spot. I mean, granted, are we going to do much in the playoffs? Probably not. But it's not like we're like a Columbus or the Sharks or some of these bottom-feeding teams that are 10 to 15 points outside of the playoff spot, where we can still make a push into the playoffs and get some, not like the marquee trade deadline names, but some of the younger guys who are getting a little bit not too much love on the trade deadline talk, just to try and get younger and faster, especially on our defensive side of the of our play.
Look, here's the deal with the Penguins. I think I speak for most Penguins fans out there when I say this. I am disgusted with the way the organization is being run right now. You talk about 2 consecutive years of missing the playoffs. The 3 years prior to that were all first-round exits, 2 of them courtesy of the New York Islanders, 1 of them courtesy of the New York Rangers. When is enough enough? I think now is finally the time we start to ship some players off and we start to sell. Now, I'm the biggest Crosby advocate out there. I believe Crosby should stay at Pittsburgh Penguins. Same thing with Evgeny Malkin. But when we look at Chris Letang and his 3 years left that he has on his contract, when we look at a Graves, when we look at a Raquel, those are players that, honestly, it may be time to move on. It may be time to look for some trade partners. I think it's time to start selling.
Look, I agree with both of you, but here's the thing. A few years ago, when FSG and Kyle Dubas came into this organization, they said to Sidney Crosby, look, we're going to get you in the back in the playoffs before you retire and give you another shot at the Stanley Cup. You have to commit to that when you're saying that to Sidney Crosby, of all people. Look, yes, I know they're going to sell. Yes, they're having an awful season and have been for the past few years now. But this is Sidney Crosby we're talking about. Sidney Crosby has done so much for the city and for this organization. And basically, it's not an understatement to say this guy saved our franchise from not being in Pittsburgh anymore. Because basically, he has. And if you're going to go in here and you're going to say to Sidney Crosby, look, we promise you that we're going to get this team back in the playoffs and give you a shot, a legitimate shot at one more Stanley Cup before you retire, you have to commit to that, to Sidney Crosby. Yes, obviously this season's been rough. There's no doubt that, let's be honest. But this is Sidney Crosby we're talking about here. This is the leader of the franchise, one of the greatest hockey players of all time here. And if you're going to sit there, and if you are going to, if you're going to promise him something, you need to stick to that. You need to.
Yeah, but here's the issue. They haven't. They haven't stuck to that. Over the last couple of years,
they brought in Erik Karlsson. I think that's sticking to it.
What did Erik Karlsson do?
Sure, he hasn't worked out, but if you're going to do something like that, you have to commit to it.
Exactly. Look, when we can break down the coaching side of things. I'm not a big Mike Sullivan fan. We can go into the defensive pairings. We can go into the poor goaltending. I mean, ever since Matt Murray left this team, we went from a Tristan Jarry, a Casey DeSmith, Louis Domingue. We've been all over the place with goaltending. We have not found a solidified starting goalie for the Pittsburgh Penguins. You can blame that on the coaching. You can blame that on GM. Sidney Crosby, I agree with everything you're saying. He is a terrific player. I would argue he's the best player in Penguins franchise history over Lemieux. But the fact of the matter is this. The Penguins need to move on. They need to make some change. We have not seen success in the last couple of years. 2 of them missing the playoffs entirely. First 3, first-round exits. When is enough enough?
Nick, let me interrupt you. So, let me interrupt you guys. So, I want you to know, the same spot that we are in was 2019 Blues. And what did they do that year? With much less than what we have right now. So, that's why I'm not saying we should sell. Because the Blues in 2019, with hardly half the talent that we have now, even with on our roster right now, and even in our farm. We have more farm talent than that team did, which we can bring up and make a playoff push. So I'm not even saying selling's not a good option for us, because we have way more talent that we can make a push. And granted, you can say what you want about the Eastern Conference. It's very gettable this year, in my opinion.
It is.
I feel like the Eastern Conference is able for us to go get it, no matter how we play the first half of the year, how we're playing now. It's all how you play from now, stretching through the rest of the year. And if we go hot at any time that year, we want to know that now if we sell now. We got it. Yeah. I feel like if we sell, we're just killing our season right there. Well, I think we still have a chance to get hot and stay hot and get into the playoffs and go further than the first round.
Do you really though? I mean, like it seems like it's the same
yeah.
story every single year with the Penguins.
I think they, with what Ryan said, but going off of what you said, Ryan, they have to do that like now. Like Wednesday's game against Utah, they have to come out like guns a-blazing, and they have to win that game no matter what the cost is. And they have to get hot right now if you want a chance of making the playoffs. Like you said, the East, they suck this year. A lot of those teams, they suck. So all you need to do is get hot. And do I think they can get hot? Yes, absolutely. It's the NHL. Anything can happen, right? That's live sports. It's why we love it. But yes, the past 3 games, they've sucked. They've sucked on this road trip. But they still have the talent. They still have the good players. And their depth this season, they haven't been bad at all. Ricardo Kell, he has over 20 goals this year already. He's on pace for his career high in goals. If you can, sure they have like UFAs like Marcus Pettersson. He's a great defenseman. But realistically, he's going to be the guy who ends up going, I think, more than anyone. But you could get like a good return for him. Like, one of the biggest places he's rumored to go to is Vancouver. They have a guy there named JT Miller, surely you've heard of him, who's from the Penguins, and as early as today has been linked to JT Miller. And if you get a guy like him paired up with Sid or Gino, I like that. And that could be, a good move that helps us win, get hot, like you said. And even JT Miller in the playoffs, he's been good. He's the type of guy who, like you said, Ryan, can get us past that first round.
And JT Miller's also not going to break the bank for us either, which is going to be nice. He's not going to be one of those players that are going to kill us come when we want to sign him back against. We're going to want to sign him back if we get him. So he's going to be one of those players that we can keep for like a long-term future.
Well, he is under contract for a few more seasons, so.
I've got a hypothetical for you guys. You guys are both banking on a pop-off for the Penguins. The trade deadline is still pretty far away. Let's say in the next couple weeks we don't see them pop off. Would your stance on this change?
So in a couple weeks, if we go on another like 7-game skid where we don't win, then I'll say, okay, let's sell a little bit of our cap that hits like a Graves or a Pettersson or some of these guys that hit our cap. Yes, that makes sense. But if we go on a great winning streak, and I'm not saying 7-game winning streak, I'm saying like a 4 to 5 game winning streak, then we can start saying, okay, we should go get a JT or get some of these other guys that are on the market. That's where I stand for that.
Yeah, absolutely not. My stance still is crystal clear. Past couple seasons have been extremely disappointing here in the Steel City. I'm still on the fire Mike Sullivan bandwagon. I'm still on the sell the team. Even if they put together 5 to 6 wins, I still want to see a change here in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I mean, for me, you have the Frozen Face-Off coming up in a few weeks, and there's a 2-week break during that period of no NHL games. So I think the Penguins have about 4 or 5 games left before that break. If you can win, you have to win at the very least 3 of those last 5 games before this break here. And if you don't, I think it's wraps for them for this season. And if it is, I see Raquel gone. I see possibly Letang. Pettersson's definitely gone. Rust even possibly. O'Connor, Nieto, I think they're just going to sell. But, to avoid that, you have to win at least 3 of these next 5 games before the break. You have to.
Yeah, and I just want to add on one more thing back to what you gentlemen said earlier about going after Miller or making trades and stuff like that. That all sounds great on paper, but when are they going to execute on it? Because in my opinion, we have not seen a proper execution done by this new Penguins regimen ever since they took over. So
I disagree. I completely disagree. Listen to me.
Go ahead.
Kyle Dubas, okay? Ever since he's arrived on this team, listen, Kyle Dubas on the Leafs was known as a mastermind when it comes to trades.
On the Leafs.
The trades he has made on this team so far has helped this Penguins team a lot. The acquisitions that he's made. He brought back Pierre-Olivier Joseph for literally nothing. Literally nothing back. No picks, no nothing. The Jake Getzel trade brought back Bunting. He brought back Ville Koivunen, who's absolutely lighting it up in the AHL right now, leading Wilkes-Barre. For now, yes. Listen, and you look at some of the players he's brought, free agency, okay, yeah, he hasn't done that good. But the trades he's made, he's one of the best GMs at making trades in the entire league.
Look, I'll give you this. He cleared up cap. He got rid of some of the bad contracts, but outside of that, free agency has been a complete train wreck.
All right, I'm going to cut you guys off there. We're going to see how the Penguins perform rest of the season. I'm sure we will revisit this later this year, but that is all the time we have this week. Be sure to join us next week at the same Pioneer time, the same Pioneer channel, and the same Pioneer Sideline.